Okay, well, welcome back. We're back in rate of change in slope. Let's go ahead and look at problem number 3. Problem number 3 now gives you 2 points. Okay, so we go back to that equation that we were talking about where we had slope was equal to the y2 minus the y1 over the x2 minus the x1. This is how we find slope from 2 points. So we have 1 point right here. Now this point is going to be, since it's labeled first, we'll go ahead and call this x1, y1. And since it's the second point, we'll call it x2, y2. Okay, so let me clarify that there. Okay, there's x2. So now all we're doing is filling in the pieces. Now you got to be careful with your subtraction because it has to be y2 minus y1. So when we write this down, I say, well, what's y2? Well, I go to my second point in my y coordinate. That's negative 2. I put minus, and then I go to my first coordinate, okay, which is y1. I put in 0. Okay, if this would have been negative, I would put minus a negative. I go down to x2. x2 was 3. Put minus, and now what's x1? x1 is a negative 1, so I actually have to make that parentheses negative 1. Now you can simplify this and say, alright, well, negative 2 minus 0, well, that's still negative 2. Okay, but it's 3 double negative down here, so plus 1, which now makes that negative 2 over 4, which simplifies down my slope to a negative 1/2. Yes, you do have to reduce. So my slope is a negative 1/2 in this case. Okay, so there's my problem number 3. So it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, y's over x's, rise over run. You need to know this formula. This is one to memorize. Okay, so got it number 3. I want you to go ahead, see if you got it. First thing I would do is write down your formula. Okay, problem number 4, let's talk about horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, much like many of the areas in Indiana, there's a lot of this flat land. So if you're looking at flat land, how much slope would you say the land has? Okay, well, that's pretty easy. Probably some of us would say none. Well, how do we represent that as a number? We represent it as 0. So basically what we're saying is our slope is 0. Well, let's figure out how we know that. Well, we still go to our y2 minus y1. Well, y2, since it's the second point, we'll call this y2, making this y1. Okay, so y2 minus y1 is 2 minus 2, and then this would be x2 and x1. Well, that would be our 2 minus, again, a negative 3, which simplifies down to 2 minus 2 is 0, over 2 plus 3 now, which would make that 5. Well, regardless, 0 divided by 5 is always 0. So right there, we know that it's 0. Our slope is 0. Okay, so flat, if it's a horizontal line, your slope is always 0. Flat land, think of Indiana, flat land. Okay, well, let's go over the second one. If you have negative 2, 1, and negative 2, negative 2, so part B. Well, in this case, you have a vertical line, straight up and down. How do we define the steepness of a straight up and down line? Okay, well, we do the same thing, but as we go through, we're going to say y2. So top one, let's call that first point. So we're going to say x1, y1. Call the second one x2, y2, just for the sake that it's 1, 2. So we take negative 2, which is y2, minus 1, which is y1, over negative 2, which is x2, minus a negative 2, so we got to put that in parentheses. And as we simplify this, we get negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So negative 3. The bottom becomes negative 2 plus 2, which makes 0. And the one rule that we've learned in algebra and pre-algebra and 7th grade math is that anything divided by 0 is what we call undefined. You're going to get an error on the calculator. Go ahead and try it. See what you get. I bet you get an error. Okay? You will get an error. It's undefined. How do we find the steepness? Well, we can't. That's why it's, we just can't put a number on it. It's so great that you can't establish a number. You could say infinity, but that's not an appropriate number to put on this one. So how can we tell this without doing any work? Well, look at the values. If your y's are the same, your slope is 0. Because what happened was you rose nothing, so you didn't go up any, you just went sideways. So it was flat, you went nowhere. And the vertical one, you went straight down. You just fell. You didn't go anywhere this way. So you didn't run any. So if you didn't run any, it's undefined. Okay? If you didn't rise any, then you had no slope, which makes sense. If a hill doesn't rise at all, then it has no slope, has 0 slope. Okay? So you're going to use undefined and 0 to represent those. Okay, so here's 2 points. I didn't give them on a graph, but they are horizontal and vertical. I want you to go through and identify which one is undefined and which one is 0. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. There is an Edmodo assignment that I want you to do, so get on there and do the Edmodo assignment, and then tomorrow we'll go over some problems and we'll have a good exit exam to see where you're at.